Do you ever wonder if you'll ever truly move on from a painful loss? Hi, my name is Matusz Hanidziar, and in this video, I'll share the surprising truth about grieving and why most people do it wrong. The topic of this video is grief and regret, the number one mistake that keeps you stuck in the past, and how to break free. I couldn't see her as she was. All I saw was my failure. My wife, the woman I loved, became a reflection of everything I regretted, of my grief. It started with a miscarriage, but the weight of unprocessed emotions grew into something much bigger, clouding every moment of our lives together. Now, I have been a hypnotherapist and a coach for over 7 years, helping people move past the blocks that keep them from living fully. But I haven't realized I was too stuck in an emotional home of grief and regret. Today, I want to share what I have learned about grief, regret, and how they quietly steal your present if left unresolved. We all experience loss at some point: a job, a relationship, a dream, or a loved one. But what most people don't realize is that unresolved grief doesn't stay in the past. It sets up camp in your present, shaping how you see the world, your relationships, and even yourself. Now, let me take you back to a defining moment in my life. It started shortly after my wife and I moved to Colombia. Exhausted from the trip, I thought her illness was just travel fatigue. But then came the vomiting, morning after morning. That's when it hit me. She was pregnant. Now, it wasn't planned. Honestly, I wasn't ready for it. For a whole month, I resisted the idea and the reality of it. I blamed her, avoided responsibility, and struggled to accept this unexpected change. Just as I started to come to terms with it, everything changed. We got COVID, and then she started bleeding. A doctor confirmed what we feared. We had lost not one, but two babies. I felt so many things: sadness, anger, guilt. But instead of dealing with those feelings, I buried them. And I decided to be strong, to push forward without processing what had happened. But grief isn't something you can ignore. It finds its way into your life, shaping your emotions, your actions, and your relationships. Now, let me pause here for a moment. If this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and share it with someone who might benefit from these insights. So, why is unprocessed grief so powerful? First, grief can become an emotional home, a familiar, though painful state of being. It keeps you stuck, replaying the same feelings of loss and regret over and over and over. Second, grief clouds your judgment. When you are consumed by regret, you stop seeing reality for what it is. Instead, you see it through the lens of your past mistakes and losses. Opportunities pass you by because you are too focused on what is missing. And third, regret undermines your decision-making ability. If you are constantly questioning yourself, what if I fail again? You'll struggle to make confident choices. Now here's the thing. Time alone doesn't heal grief. The unconscious mind doesn't operate on a timeline. Grief stays until you actively process it. It's like a signal from your unconscious reminding you to address something unresolved. Now you might be asking, but how do you process grief? How do you process it effectively? Let me share 3 powerful steps you can take today. Step number 1 to process grief: realize the truth. When we experience loss, the immediate focus is often on the tangible absence, the person, opportunity, or experience we no longer have. But what we are truly grieving goes much deeper. It's the loss of the values we connected to those things. For me, the miscarriage wasn't just about losing two babies. It represented something much bigger: the loss of my vision for a larger family. I saw a future where my daughter would have siblings to play and grow up with, where our household would be filled with more love, more laughter, and honestly, more chaos. Those values felt as though they had vanished alongside the loss. But here's the truth: those values weren't gone. I had mistakenly tied them to a single form. Once I realized that the values I cherished could take many shapes, everything shifted. I found new ways to honor and experience them. My daughter created her own imaginary sibling, a beautiful act of creativity and resilience that brought joy into our lives. We started spending more time with other children, connecting with families in our community. And when I finally let go of the belief that my values were tied to one specific outcome, I discovered they were always within me, waiting to be fulfilled in new ways. This shift in perspective is a powerful step towards healing. By detaching the values from the loss itself, you begin to see many possibilities that still exist in your life. Step 2, grief as unexpressed love. Now, grief often has an undercurrent of something unsaid, unshared, or unfinished. It is as though the love we feel for the person or thing we lost has nowhere to go. That unexpressed love lingers, compounding our sadness and keeping the wound open. This is why an intentional exercise to express that love can be so transformative. Now, here is what you do. Start by finding a quiet space, close your eyes, and imagine the person or thing you lost sitting in front of you on the chair. It might be a loved one, a version of yourself you miss, or even a lost opportunity. Picture them or it vividly. Feel the presence. And now let yourself speak. Say everything you wish you could have said. Your gratitude, your apologies, your love. If there is regret, express it. If there is anger, release it. Imagine them listening with compassion and understanding. When you have said all you need to, take a moment to pause and listen in return. What would they say back to you? This simple act of reconnection can create a profound sense of peace. It reminds you that love doesn't end with loss. The bond you shared doesn't need to be severed. It can evolve into something that still brings comfort and meaning to your life now and into the future. And then you finish the exercise by saying 4 healing phrases. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And repeat these statements until you feel a sense of release. Many of my clients have used this technique to find closure they never thought was possible. It's not about erasing the grief, but transforming it into a lasting sense of love and connection. Step number 3, the total truth process. Unprocessed emotions from loss can keep you stuck, replaying the same feelings of sadness, anger, or guilt. The total truth process, developed by Jack Canfield, is a structured way to navigate through all the emotions connected to a loss, helping you move from hurt to healing. Now, this process involves identifying and expressing your emotions in a specific sequence. You begin by addressing feelings of anger, what upset you about the situation or the person involved. Then you move through other emotional states, including sadness, fear, regret. Finally, you arrive at gratitude, forgiveness, and love. By methodically acknowledging and addressing these layers of emotions, you give yourself the space to process what happened fully. It's a way of ensuring no emotion is left unspoken or buried. This not only helps you feel lighter, but also allows you to see the situation from a more balanced perspective. For example, if you are grieving the loss of a relationship, the total truth process might start with acknowledging anger, perhaps about being hurt or abandoned. Then you might move into sadness about what you miss. Next, you address any fears about the future or regrets about the past. And finally, you express gratitude for the lessons the relationship taught you, offer forgiveness to yourself or the other person, and affirm the love that still exists in your heart today. This technique is incredibly freeing. It takes you from feeling trapped in negative emotions to a state of emotional completion, where you can hold the experience with acceptance and compassion. If you'd like to try this process yourself, let me know in the comments below and I'll share the exact steps. The total truth process isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about reclaiming your emotional energy and allowing yourself to move forward without the weight of unresolved feelings. When you commit to this process, you give yourself permission to heal fully and live in the present moment. Now, when you actively process grief, you reclaim the present. You stop seeing life through the lens of the past and start embracing the possibilities in front of you. So, what do you think? Does this resonate with your experiences? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. And thank you very much for watching.